Hello, dear one. I'm Jackie. Welcome to LOA Success Stories. On this channel, I share real life, law of attraction, and law of assumption success stories with you. I have nearly 50 minutes of SP success stories for you today. All of these stories have a few things in common. There seemed to be no movement in the 3D, and they were all in no contact before successfully manifesting their SPs back. If you're interested in hearing those stories, I hope that you sit back, relax, and listen with me. We also know that through listening to other people's success stories, this helps to wire into your subconscious mind that manifestation is real. And of course, if it works for others, it will work for you too. You might hear my dog in the background of the stories today. He's a French bulldog, adorable, love him, but he's so noisy, and today he was very needy. I was literally hiding in closets and bathrooms from him, and he was on the other side of the door making his gremlin sounds. So I tried to cut him out, but you might be able to hear him a bit. Without further ado, let's get into today's stories. My experience manifesting all three, SP, 3P, and 3P removal. There's a brief point at the beginning of this story when I hadn't known about Neville Goddard. Neville's guidance has helped me up my game significantly. I now understand why certain things have happened for me instead of to me. I'm writing some of my thoughts out in case it's helpful to anyone reading. The story started in 2019 when my now ex-boyfriend broke up with me for the exact reason I always thought I'd get broken up with. In every relationship, I would routinely visualize being broken up with for this very reason because it was my biggest fear. It was one of the main reasons my self-esteem was so low at the time. I had an epiphany when it happened. I remember thinking, why on earth would I choose to visualize something so painful when I could visualize something beautiful, especially in the off chance that it'll come true? I didn't know what the law or anything like that was back then. Before the breakup, I was cynical and didn't believe in magic. I also studied science and am currently an engineer. So while I instinctually love magic, I often dismissed it as foolish. Later that year, after learning about Neville and the law, I manifested my SP after working on my self-concept and visualizing a partner who would love me dearly. It was enjoyable, and that was my main goal, to have fun imagining things that brought me joy and feelings of love. I remember doing that a bunch as a kid. My SP and I began dating more seriously in early 2020, but I could sense that my anxiety and the old stories had a strong hold over me. COVID lockdowns began, and my SP and I parted ways with no contact for a while. I let my anxiety run rampant, and my self-concept greatly suffered. I had a lot of time on my hands and very little control over my thoughts. Social media became a tool for stalking one of his past partners. I now realize that my focus on them and their past relationship introduced the third party into our dynamic after they hadn't spoken in years. I refused to be accountable then and blamed the behavior on my SP and men in general. I used to create negative generalizations about men and then wondered why all of my men fit my stereotypes. Neville makes it crystal clear why this happens. Ha! I giggled and feel relief just thinking about it. I became accountable and went on a mental diet. I eventually attracted my SP again in early 2021 and am delighted to report that we're very happy together. Removing the third party completely took several more months after the initial reattracting, but I got there. Learning about Neville has supercharged my happiness in my relationship with my SP. I'll add that I started affirming. This practice comes easily to me. I'm always learning, growing, and improving my law practice and myself. The law is simple and always works for me. I'm mainly writing this post to highlight that I have certainly not been perfect. My practice was messy at the start, but it still worked. God led me to this group and these resources because I was ready to take things to the next level. There have been times when I've wavered, including comparing myself to the third party. I think the power of Neville's teachings is the practicality of the law and the fact that you can have moments when you waver, but get back up and practice again. People here have affirmed that feeling your emotions is essential, and I couldn't agree more. Feeling your emotions and letting them run their course equals self-compassion. Self-compassion and picking yourself back up equals improving your self-concept. Improving your self-concept equals getting closer to your desires, always. To help with my habit of comparing, I began affirming. The 3P is probably comparing herself to me. It's a normal habit for some people. I don't need to be ashamed for comparing. I don't need to compare as a crutch anymore. I use my time effectively for other pursuits that create a more beautiful life. I took this all very slowly, so please bear with me. I've eradicated 98% of the habit, and my self-concept is constantly improving. I'm practicing this daily with scripting, SATs, and a mental diet. I also read success stories and am so grateful to this group for inspiring me. Fast forward to this past week when a friend who works at the same firm as 3P sent me a LinkedIn post that 3P wrote about a recent career update. The 3P mentioned that they, at some point, did a certification program at an Ivy League school, my alma mater, with no proof. I'll preface that my SP has said that the 3P tends to lie and cares a lot about how others perceive them. This made me wonder how this is a mirror. I tended to put my SPs on a pedestal and worried about how they perceived me. This 3P had no prior affiliation with my university. I couldn't help myself, so I looked up the certification program. No such program exists at all. My discovery confirmed what I affirmed for many months. The 3P compares herself to me. Everyone is you pushed out for real. I felt naughty admitting this, but I felt validated after learning that she'd lied about the program. Despite this validation, and as a result of what it tells me about my self-concept, I've been affirming that she's found someone new, is happy with them, and has career success. All of the above is to say that I believe in magic now, and I hope this helps some folks out there. Feel free to leave any questions or comments. XO. Married my SP success story. I have been a big fan of this sub for a while and can't believe I'm finally writing my own marriage SP success story. I met my SP about 5.5 years ago and fell in love with him very quickly. Over the years, it was very off and on. Both of us dated other people. We dated each other for a while, but he said he would never want to commit to a relationship. LOL, now we are happily married. We went through periods of just friends and periods of no contact. I've made it through all the third-party stuff, my own insecurities and self-sabotage, and a lot of tears and confusion. We started dating again consistently and happily last fall around August of 2021, got engaged in April 2022, and married on July 1st. I'm so glad to be looking back on those confusing times as a happily married woman to the love of my life now. It reminds me of all of the times I did Neville's I remember when technique. Now I'm actually remembering when. Here are some Neville techniques that helped me. Number 1, I remember when. This technique always made me feel better. I would do something like, I remember when I was a single woman, and now I'm happily married to my SP. My SP also has bipolar schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. So I would do, I remember when he was struggling with his mental health, and now he's so healthy. And sure enough, he ended up finding the perfect meds for him and is very stable with his mental health now. 2, SATs. My SATs scene was me falling asleep with a wedding ring next to him. And sure enough, now I fall asleep every night next to him with that exact wedding ring I imagined. It's perfect. Number 3, revision. This was so helpful. Whenever we had a negative interaction, like if I didn't like his short text reply, or if I was nervous because he didn't reply quickly, I would revise it to work in my favor at the end of each day. At the end of each day, I revised my day to be perfect. Imagining the text to say exactly what I wanted, or imagining our convo to be exactly what I wanted. I even revised the convo from 2 years ago when he said he would never want to be in a committed relationship. And we stopped talking for a while after that. Sure enough, we had a brand new convo this year when he said he was so lost back then, and he's matured now, and he needs to know that he wants to cherish what a good thing we have and get married, have a family together. Number 4, birds before landing. There was a key moment when we first started talking again last fall, when I ran into his sister at the park. I was going on a run, feeling good, moving my body, and being in nature helped me a lot to get in a high vibe place. And his sister introduced me to her friend as her quote-unquote future sister-in-law. At the time, he and I were barely speaking, but we had such a history of deep connection. She could see that true love was there. So I took this as a Neville bird before landing sign that things would be different this time around. Number 5, persist. When it seemed hard, just persist and the wish fulfilled, and feel really good imagining. Have fun with this. Number 6, stop checking your SP's social media or the third party's social media. If you were already in a happy relationship, you wouldn't be doing that frantically and obsessively, so stop now. Number 7, prepare your home. Prepare your home as though your SP is definitely coming. I got this from Florence Chauvel Shin, but it's similar to Neville. If my wish were fulfilled, I would buy groceries for both of us and have a clean home ready for him to come home to. So I bought the juice he loves and cleaned my house, and he came. And he drank the juice. Also, clearing my home in general was just helpful for clearing our old energy. Number 7, stop talking about it with friends. I used to always complain and worry about the situation with my SP to friends. This encouraged my fears. Neville says, "Go and tell no one," in quotes, because they mirror your fears. Talking about it can cause a quote-unquote miscarriage to your desires, as Neville says. My relationship improved so much when I stopped talking about it. If friends would ask, I would just say, it's going great, even if I was nervous or something like that at the time. Number 8. For third parties, I just ignored them. I believed when he meets other girls, he thinks about how much he misses me and likes me so much better. Even though years ago he told me he would never commit to one person, I had to just ignore that. And sure enough, it did change. Number 9, edit addition. I forgot to add mental diet. You must be careful about your inner conversations. Tame your inner talking like a wild horse. Don't let yourself go into simmering in fear and worry about undesired outcomes. Always match your inner talking to your wish fulfilled. It's hard, but it does get easier. You cannot use the above technique and constantly or even sometimes be festering and worry and expect it to work out. You're hindering your manifestation by letting your mind wander untamed into fearful imagining. Number 10, edit addition. Test the law. Have fun with this. Play with it. Playfulness is a great energy in all this. I remember testing it with butterflies. Butterflies became my symbol when I needed help building my faith. I would ask to see a butterfly as like a bird before a landing sign, and it increased my faith. I would imagine a butterfly, and then I started seeing them everywhere. One day, I was particularly down about my SP, and I imagined my butterfly and asked to see my butterfly, and then I just let it go. And that night, I was driving to dinner with friends, saw a massive butterfly on a billboard on the highway. Test the law with small things and play. This is how you build into a place of knowing. You need that confidence in the law and faith. Remember, your faith is your fortune. Number 11, edit addition. Living in the end and self-concepts. With the idea of living in the end, you have to imagine what would you be like if you already had your wish fulfilled. And what would you feel like if you already had the things that you want now? This is connected to your self-concept. What would your self-concept be if you were already in that relationship now? I found the answer to often be relaxation for me. I would feel relaxed and secure. So relaxing in this present moment and feeling secure now was helpful in bringing the manifestation. I hope that this helps. Happy to answer any questions. Anything is possible. No situation is too hard or far gone to turn into working in your favor. Believe and continue to persist in your wish fulfilled. Believe everything is working out for you and in your favor. You can even believe that the negative situations that you may see in your 3D are necessary to bring your desired end into being. You can believe that even the quote-unquote worst circumstances are working out for your good, and then they will. Heard from and now meeting SP after 2 years of almost no contact. Listen to this one to the very end because there are multiple updates. I visualized this day when I would be able to post on this sub, and here it is. My SP and I are back in contact after 2 whole years, and we will be meeting up soon. A part of me can't believe it because I feel as though this was my biggest manifestation yet. But another part of me feels so meh about it almost because I fully predicted this and it unfolded exactly how I thought it would. What I did: scripting, mental diet, affirm, and visualize. But only whatever felt natural and nice. I also practice speech a lot and have pretend conversations. During the process of manifesting contact back with my SP, I brought in so many other things into my life, including my dream job, my goal body, a healthy mindset, so much money, and a lot of other SPs as well. This journey has been incredibly rich, and I'm so thankful to the universe, this community, and myself. Keep believing and keep persisting. It's a foolproof process. Update. We are meeting next week after 2 years and 3 months of separation. We'll update once we've met in person. Edit. Further update. We met for the second time today, and I can't begin to even explain how incredible it went. My SP was swooned by me the entire time and was literally giddy and couldn't stop smiling for even a second. I feel so secure, calm, and in complete control. I love this new reality. Further update. OMG. It's a marathon, not a sprint. My SP and I are together. My story. How I manifested my SP back. Hello everyone in Reddit, Neville Goddard SP. I am a longtime lurker and wanted to finally share my story on how I manifested my SP back. First off, for some context, my SP and I broke up back in the beginning of 2021. The circumstances surrounding the breakup were toxic, as it felt like my SP hated me and that we would never speak to each other again. However, deep down, I believed we both knew that this wasn't the case and that we truly will love and miss each other. This is what led me to learn more about manifestation and ultimately led me to Neville's teachings. When I first started, I tried SATs every night with a scene of what it would be like for us to be together again. Every night, I would attempt to fall asleep to this scene, honing truly on the fact of feeling what it was like to be together again. By doing this, my subconscious began changing. I was more positive, and it ultimately altered my thinking patterns. As I started to notice and feel these changes, I paused on SATs as I honed in on this feeling, realizing what I have started to manifest will find its way to reality. A good mental diet is key to be able to manifest. One must always try to be positive and have good energy throughout their days. Personally, one thing I would realize is how thankful I am for everything. Whether it is to be thankful to wake up every day or to have running water and a meal, just be thankful and happy. It's better to be happy than sad, after all. However, don't worry about having negative or intrusive thoughts. Just remember, these thoughts are temporary, and always try to remain optimistic. You are the creator after all. Truly realize that feeling and hone into your powers of manifesting. After about 5 months of keeping a healthy mental diet and fully feeling out and that I will bring us back together, I one day randomly received a text from her talking about catching up. We talked the next day and decided to try things over again. To be honest, I wasn't surprised when this happened, as all the SATs and mental dieting already led me to feeling that I had this. It was just about time it had caught up to reality. Although I was able to manifest my SP back, ultimately, I felt like I matured as a person and that this relationship wasn't what I truly wanted. After 3 months, we decided to just stay friends, which I'm so happy about, and felt this is both the correct thing to do in this current period of our lives. Reminder, truly realize why you even want to manifest your SP back. Honestly, the biggest takeaway from manifesting my SP is realizing the true power I have of being able to manifest. I feel like this path was necessary for me to raise my consciousness to a higher level. Everyone in this world has the ability to manifest. The key understanding is that our thoughts, and most importantly our feelings towards things, have power that can reveal and alter the world to what we want it to be. I really recommend everyone read Neville's teachings and to read through the posts in this subreddit. However, ultimately, it is up to you to alter and change your feelings to know what you want deep down. Some things I recommend reading are user Edward Art Supply Hands. Really great and informative posts about learning how to use your power. Orion's posts. I can't find the user, but there's a link to the old works. And Neville's works. Stay blessed and manifesting, everyone. SPX Full Success. I am now a 100% believer. It is surreal for me to type this because what I'm about to say is something that I've read on this subreddit multiple times. And now, here I am, giving a similar success story with the same methods that I've read on here that many others have used before. All I wanted was a text. I told the universe that's all I wanted, and I would manifest from there. Here's the story. I broke up with my boyfriend on October 28th, and we had no contact since, other than me wishing him a happy birthday 2 weeks later, and then drunkenly calling him one night. He didn't answer, and I texted him with an excuse that I just needed my stuff. I know you're wondering why I broke up with him and then proceeded to pine over him. Well, my mom passed in July, 2 months into us dating, and things started getting rough. Even though we fell for each other hard, we were both insecure about each other, had a lot of dumb arguments. I impulsively broke up with him and regretted it almost immediately. I knew my love for him was deep and unbounded, and I wanted him back in my life. I cried so much. I told the universe I would be okay as long as I could just get him back. Anyway, I found LOA subreddits shortly after that, and then Neville. But I didn't apply it. I obsessed, didn't pay attention to my mental diet for more than a few hours, and had a very negative outlook. Suddenly, about a month ago, everything clicked. And I noticed that this happens to a lot of people. There's just this moment where everything falls into place. I really started applying the law. What I'm about to tell you is the main ingredient to my practice. It's kind of stupid, but it really worked better than anything else I tried in forming a belief system. I muted his WhatsApp chat, so I wasn't constantly waiting on his text to me. I wouldn't know whether or not he texted me, and then just assumed he would. This was key. Then I let go. I stopped thinking about him, and whenever I did, I just lived in the end and assumed he was going to text me one day, and everything was already on its way. That's it. Strict mental diet. A key to that diet being the muting of his messages, and a change in belief. So, anyway, the success story. A few days after the new year, I saw a post on here about the interview technique. I did it about 5 minutes, and then speaking about the story of our relationship made me start feeling things. I then reminded myself, it is coming, but you know what? I'm going to check his text messages, even though he hasn't texted me yet. I think I wanted to do this to test my mental fortitude and show that even the 3D didn't affect me, and that my manifesting didn't have a timeline. So I go to his chat, and guess who had texted the day before at 11:30 a.m.? wishing me a happy new year and hoping I had a good holiday. I had posted the above story the day it happens on the Neville Goddard sub, but the mods removed it because it wasn't a full success story yet, which I understand. I think seeing his text paired with my growth and manifestation confidence made me sure that everything was set in place and I would manifest more and more. I was right. Manifestation is beautiful in that it's very easy to get into a positive cycle once you achieve little things. Things came really fast once we met up. After a few hours of hanging out, we sat down to have a discussion about what went wrong. He told me everything I imagined him saying, telling me he had been reflecting on everything we had done wrong and came to the conclusion that it's always been me. By our third redate, he was telling me he never stopped loving me and that all he wants is a future with me. He asked me to move in last week. It feels like the 3 months we were apart never happened. We laugh hard. He looks at me like I hang the moon every night. He spends all of his time with me and he gets tears in his eyes telling me how much he loves me. These things are all things I was imagining during our breakup. This is someone I used to think I had no chance with ever again. The law works, guys. I am the biggest skeptic ever. I didn't believe any of this, even when I was religiously looking at this subreddit, but I said to myself, what do I have to lose? And just lived in the end. 6 days before he reached out, I wrote in my journal that I was 110% sure our last conversation, our last hug, our last kiss, our last I love you will not be the last one ever. And now here he is, making me soup in my kitchen while I sit on my couch. It all works. I'm telling you, don't give up. Don't try too hard. Just believe and it will come. I promise you. Love and peace to all. I am marrying my SP. Short backstory. Basically, I fell in love with my SP and I knew I wanted her for the rest of my life. Our relationship was perfect until one day I learned I was not her first love. She's mine, by the way. And that started the spiral. Stalking her ex, obsessing over her past, etc. I even got insecure that they have the same hair color. My fears came true. We broke up out of the blue, and she later told me she was in love with him. By the way, do not try to interfere with the middle. I found Neville and went right to work. I did SATs the best I could, but mental dieting and inner conversations worked for me the best, I think. I constantly told my mom we were back together and getting married in my mind. I felt and heard her say She is mine and only loved me. Took about 3 months. She called me asking if I had something of hers. I brought it to her and boom, we are engaged soon after. She did say she thought she loved her ex, but it was a trauma bond and she needed to work that out with her therapist, and that I am her one true love, and she was just uncomfortable with healthy love. Crazy how things play out. I'll never let insecurities run my mind again. This stuff works. My advice: persist, as Neville says. Disregard the 3D. Don't mess with the middle. I did, and that's why she told me she was in love with her ex and other things were thrown in my face. If you feel like you have to chase or manipulate the physical world, your lack will be shown to you. I think this could have unfolded way faster and easier if I only did techniques and disconnected from the 3D sooner. We called my mom together and told her the good news. Now I'm visualizing telling everyone we have a baby on the way. Power is in us and in us only. That's all I've got for you today. If they can get their SPs back after no contact, you can too. There is always movement. If you enjoyed listening to these stories or found them inspiring, don't forget to like, subscribe, and come back to listen to more story time with me. Bless you.